Hi, it's Jessica again, and this is IVF Round 4 update. So this is a continuation of my IVF Round 3 video, transitioning to IVF Round 4. If you aren't familiar with our story, please look back into my YouTube channel. There's other videos to, go from the very beginning if you want, but this particular video is about the last round of IVF that we just did. So we just got back about a month ago, I think it was. Not a month ago, because it was over 4th of July. We went to Southern California to see our new doctor that we've been seeing. We saw for IVF Round 3, and we paid for a package of 2 with him. So now we did IVF Round 4. So our 4th egg retrieval round, but only our 2nd time doing egg retrieval. And this time it was a lot less nerve-wracking because I knew what to expect. Having an egg retrieval prior and having it be successful too, I was very hopeful this time as well. So the doctor decided, let's try. Last time we did a minimal stimulation round where I really didn't take very many medications. This time the doctor wanted to up them just a tiny bit, so still really not much, but just a little bit more, just to see if we could grow more eggs, just to try. And so I was doing 1 pill of Clomid a day and 1 shot of Minipure a day. I think I only did 5 shots total, so 1 a day, and then my Clomid, and then the trigger shots. So it really wasn't bad compared to rounds 1 and 2 where I was doing a whole host of medications. And you can watch my video on all the medications I did for rounds 1 and 2 if you'd like. So it wasn't bad. This round of IVF actually went very similarly to the last. I had my first monitoring appointment here where they do the ultrasound and blood work, and had kind of the same ultrasound where I had 1 lead follicle, 1 medium follicle, and 2 smaller ones. And so figured, okay, well, we'll at least maybe get 1 embryo out of it, hopefully, since that's what we got last time. And so drove to California, celebrated the 4th with our cousins Paul and Susie, who are so gracious to let us stay with them when we're in California. It really helps us with the cost of all of this, not having to pay for a place to stay, especially in a touristy area in California. But I do love the excuse to go to California and go to the beach. Love the beach. We had a nice time at the beach. And so I did my medications per protocol, went and saw them with doing my monitoring appointment there. Ultrasound and blood work looked good, still with the lead follicle, medium, and 2 small. Seems to be my typical growth pattern, I guess, for my follicles. And so then had my egg retrieval on Thursday. It was on a Thursday this time. And because my medium follicle had grown into the range where it could be retrieved, the doctor actually retrieved those 2, and then they actually took 1 of the small ones too, just in case. So they actually retrieved 3 eggs this time. The procedure really didn't take much longer for the retrieval of 3 eggs, to be honest. It kind of was the same amount of time. Last time I did it the same way, so this time I was awake, and I asked to have 2 Norco and 2 Valium this time instead of just 1 Norco and 1 Valium like last time, to hopefully help with more pain coverage, more relaxation, because last time I was getting kind of anxious when I was in the room. And 2 Norco, 2 Valium did great. My husband was making fun of me because I was a little bit loopy, but that's okay. I was more relaxed for the procedure. And so they retrieved a total of 3 eggs. I was doubtful that more than one, that the 2nd and the 3rd would be viable, but you never know, so they figured why not. Since it was a Thursday, they told us the next day. On Friday, we'd driven home Thursday, Friday, so we got home Friday, and they had said that they had successfully fertilized 2 of the 3. So the little one wasn't a mature egg, so they had to discard it, which I assumed, but I was pleasantly surprised that they were able to fertilize 2 successfully. And so then we would wait between 5 and 7 days to see how these embryos grew, kind of on pins and needles, hoping for a good outcome so that I hopefully don't have to go do an egg retrieval again. And then so in this time, instead of day 5, they didn't give us the report until day 7. So that made me a little nervous that it took longer for these guys to grow. But I waited for Matt to get home to open it because I cannot read these messages without him to support me in case it's bad. But both embryos actually grew to blastocyst stage, which is the stage where they want them to get to be able to be biopsied and frozen. So they were biopsied and they were frozen. Caveat is, one of them is another, like, just visually healthy embryo, a 4AA, but our second one, which was probably from the egg that was the slightly smaller one, is what I'm assuming, the embryo quality wasn't as good. I think it was like a 6DE or something. So that's like, oh, okay, well, maybe that one isn't as good quality, but hopefully, you never know. Sometimes you can implant those embryos and they're just fine. So they were both biopsied and frozen. So we technically have 3 total embryos in the freezer, which is super exciting because doctors were telling me I wasn't gonna have any biological children, and now I have 3 frozen embryos. So blessed for these miracles. But we're not at the end of the journey yet, but I'm super excited and celebrating all of the good, positive news. We're still waiting on the genetic test of these 2 embryos, but praying that they're both healthy. And then after the chromosome test, they're gonna run what's called a PGT-M test, I think is what it's called, for a very specific genetic marker, because I am a carrier of a genetic disease called Fragile X. And so we are going to be testing all 3 embryos total to see if they are carriers of Fragile X. So that will be the next update video, and to see if any of them have Fragile X. Hopefully none of them do, if they're all chromosomally normal. And we're just praying that they are all healthy. So the situation with the Fragile X is a whole other thing, and so I can explain that on the next video. But I'm just praying that they're all healthy and good little embryos, and hoping we can move on to the transfer stage, hoping the end of September. That's when I requested off work, so hopefully that'll work. But if not, then we can always go to October, trying to get it done before snowy season, since we drive to California every time. I don't really want to get caught in the snow in the mountains. But praying everything works out. I'm doing my frozen embryo transfer testing. So I had a pap smear done. I have to have a saline infusion sonogram, which is just they secrete saline into your uterus to make sure it looks good. And then I have to do what's called an ERA test, which is a biopsy of the uterus lining to make sure that the hormones are as receptive as they can be to hold on to an embryo when it's transferred. So I'll explain more about that when that occurs, but for now, thank you so much for listening to our IVF Round 4 update, and I will let you know how everything goes. Bye.